Well, greetings. My name is Brett. This is my buddy Caleb, and we are going to do our best to walk you through what could be one of the most exciting pieces for us in the training. It's our overview piece. It's Small Group Leadership 101, covering the basics of something I wish someone had told me when I first got into this crazy game of small group leadership.
Yeah, me too. I mean, small groups and relationships, it's the most exciting, the most fulfilling, the most uplifting, and maybe the scariest at times too, right?
It's nerve-wracking. I remember when I was first asked that my palms literally were sweating, and even now as I kind of reflect back on it, it was just one of those moments that I thought I couldn't do it, and I thought the guy was crazy at the same time. But I mean, it's just not always one thing that it's wrapped up to be, and it's been one of the most life-changing things for me. Right. But where we want to go with this, Kayla, why don't you tell them where we're going?
Right. Well, we just want to give you 10 simple steps, Small Group Leadership 101, 10 simple steps that will really make a difference for you as you begin to walk through and journey with your group. It's basic stuff, but I think you'll find it really helpful.
Well, why don't we jump right in? The first one of this is to always remember as you begin this, is that you're not alone. That God knew from the beginning of time that you would be in this moment, even listening to this, whether you have been a mature, growing leader for years or whether it's your very first time. It's our hope, wherever you are, that you might learn one more little tip or strategy or nuance that can help you and your group get better. Okay? So you look about it, you look at all the different biblical characters, from Moses to Solomon, Jeremiah, and Timothy. They were all reluctant. God used each of their lives in unique ways. He was with them. And he said, and I love this in Hebrews 12:5, where it says that he will never leave you. He will never forsake you. There's a triple negative in that one. He'll never, never, never leave you or forsake you. The beauty of knowing that as we begin makes it so that I can relax a little bit more than I normally would.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Small Group Leadership 101's number 2 is don't try to do it alone. We need each other. I would even encourage you right now to start praying for the person that's going to come alongside you, the person that you're going to invite in with you to leadership. You can enlist a co-leader, right from the start, and you will find that this co-leader, this person that's with you in it, praying with you, planning with you at your right hand, they will add to the experience. It'll be so much richer and more fun.
Yeah, it will.
So this is your chance to involve as many people as you can. Let them use their gifts. What are they good at? What do they want to get involved in? Think that through and invite them in. You will be surprised at the response.
Not only that, but we get to do this together. It makes it easier for me, a lot more fun to be able to walk through things like this and just to not banter alone, not just to carry alone. Yeah. So the third thing is to be able to just recognize you got to just be you. If you aren't you, who will? God wants you. He's called you with your unique set of gifts, temperament, personality, your foibles, your nuances, and your experiences. He wants to use you just as you are to help them go to where he wants them to be. So if you just settle in and just know you're everything God wanted. You're everything he needs and that group needs. And to be able to embrace maybe to another degree, especially those who've been leading a while, that God has uniquely made that little part of you and this extra gift and this extra part that you may not like about yourself, but he wants to use that in the lives of other people and even redemptively in your own.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Okay, here's number 4. Prepare for your meeting ahead of time. Right? Simple. Review the session, write down your own responses, actually maybe even write them down in the book ahead of time. Think it through on your own. How would you answer these questions? What's going on in your world that you can relate to, that you can get the thing started off right and be the first one that's vulnerable so others will jump in more readily. And then pay special attention to exercises that ask the group members to do something other than just engage in discussion. These exercises will help your group to live out what the Bible teaches in action and not just in words. Be sure you understand how the exercises work and bring any necessary supplies like paper or pens or origami type stuff, I don't know, to your meeting. And then make sure that you're ready to go and you have the items needed if they're in the appendix, such as the life health assessment or something like that. Just be sure to look them all over so you know what you're getting into. As my mom always says, it's better to be prepared.
It's great. I'm glad Mom said that because it helps us even in this moment.
Yeah.
But as you think of number 5, before you begin your session, take a moment to go around the room in your mind and just pray for each of the members by name. I was reflecting in another session how a buddy of mine would go into Denny's before his men's group would gather, and he'd kind of sit on one side of the booth and kind of think about, the 2 guys are there, and then go on the other side and think about the other 2 guys. But no matter where you are, even if you're, watching this, sometime at work or wherever it is, and you're headed into your group this week, just think about the people and kind of they like their favorite little pews,
Sure.
their little spots, but
Sure.
be prayerful about them that God would use that time this week to be able to do something in their heart and life that would make a difference for eternity.
Yeah, that's good. Number 6, when you ask a question, be patient. People don't always jump in and just, rush you with a response. And sometimes people need a moment to think about it, to digest, to be a little bit nervous, but then they'll still say something eventually. And if the silence doesn't bother you, it won't bother them. Just be calm and confident in the midst of that silence. Someone will eventually chime in. And when they do, affirm them. Say, thanks, good job, way to step up there. And then ask, how about somebody else? Is there anything that someone else might want to offer around this issue? And be sensitive to new people in this, the people that are reluctant, that are kind of nervous about sharing, and invite them in, or just kind of feel it out and let them have their space for the first week or two. That's just fine. And if you give them a safe setting, they will eventually blossom and start sharing openly over time.
It's great. It's so funny because if you just take some of these things and just apply even a part of them, it'll make your group experience for not only them but for you better.
Yeah.
So number 7 is when you're guiding the discussion, always read the transitional paragraphs and the questions out loud. It's helpful at times just to stop and just say, let me just read this one so everybody kind of gets it. It provides kind of a baseline, then moves them forward, and then you just sit and hold and play, kind of the pregnant pause and just listen.
Yeah.
And let God go ahead and pull out who He wants to pull out. So you ask the group if anyone would like to read the paragraph or the Bible passage. Don't call on people to pray or to read the Bible out loud unless you really know them and they're there, because it's just like the old thing in kindergarten. Everybody's going in a circle. You're just thinking about what you've got to do next. But give people a chance to read some of the passages and spread it out as opposed to all of it just be wrapped around you. So don't single anyone out, as I said, but ask for volunteers. Key word is volunteers, and then people will feel more empowered. And then thank that person after they've read or after they've offered, a word of encouragement.
Yeah, that's good. Always encourage, always reinforce. Number 8, if your group has more than 7 people, we strongly encourage you to have the group gather in discussion circles. Just breaking up into a little bit smaller groups of 3 or 4 during the discussion time. So that gives people a greater opportunity to share in this smaller circle. And people will connect more with the study, they'll connect more with each other, and they'll just probably feel a little bit safer, and more people will get a turn to talk, quite honestly. So a small circle encourages a person that's a little bit more quiet to participate, and they tend to minimize the effects of a more vocal or dominant member, right? So when you gather again at the end of these smaller circle breakups, you can summarize. You can have one person from each of the smaller circle discussions summarize the highlights from each of the groups. Small circles can also be helpful during a prayer time. People who are unaccustomed to praying out loud will feel more comfortable with just 2 or 3 other people. And it's a safer place. Prayer requests won't take as much time, and so these circles they'll have the ability to get in a little bit more depth, and that'll be a valuable thing. And then when you gather again as a whole group, you can have one person kind of briefly update the rest of the members on the prayer request so that they can leave and be praying for each other throughout the week, right? That's a valuable thing, and people will feel empowered, they'll feel connected, they'll feel like they shared intimately, but they'll also know that the whole group knows their deal and is praying for them as they grow throughout their week.
It's just very practical, Caleb. I just appreciate the spirit of this, because if you really just try to do everything yourself and just try to carry the load yourself, it ends up being quite a bit of burden. And even most people, after they've been leading a while, they love it so much they don't want to give up on it, but they didn't realize how much work it was going to be, as I found out in surveys with people for a long time.
Right.
So one of the things, the 9th thing, is at the end of your meeting, it's always helpful to ask the group which person that they think should lead the following week. Because the group will actually further empower the gifts of the other people in the group in addition to your own. And then everybody gets a chance to kind of get that sweaty palm experience, to grow in the role of being a host or a small group leader. And I also like to try to move it around home so everybody gets their house dusted up a little bit and gets the practice of being able to host a group and facilitate something in their life. Sure. So you may be perfectly capable of leading each time on your own. I don't doubt that. But you'll be able to help others grow in their faith and their gifts if you give them opportunities to lead. See, you can use what is that little calendar in the back of the book that basically says the names of the people, the weeks that you're meeting, and where you are meeting, and who might be hosting. So just open that conversation up and say who's going to lead each week, and you might be totally surprised to see that some people lead with completely different temperaments, personalities, and even genders that do a pretty good job.
Great. Hey, finally, number 10. enjoy the journey, not just the destination. This is a big one. This is a big one for me. I'm constantly reminding myself of this because I'm someone who's always looking at the future and the vision and the thing like that, which is good. But if we obsess about where we want to be eventually and we don't enjoy where we are today, we just miss out on the fun stuff of life and the fun stuff of relationships. So that's my last encouragement to you, is just be serious about enjoying the present moment with the people that you're with, not beating yourself up if the thing doesn't go perfectly. Just enjoy the process together. That's a fun way to live.
That's great. You know, we wrap up this with our best 10. You know, it's not quite Letterman's top 10, but it's Caleb and Brett's best shot at top 10 things that might help you as you kind of get going in this and jump into this new series that we're doing. But I'll say, they talk about David, how he shepherded the sheep, the flock, with the skill of a leader. So he had a sharp saw. He was always developing and growing himself, and the heart of a shepherd, caring and developing and nurturing the sheep. So just know God's call on your life is to do both, to be able to do it skillfully, but also do it with the heart of a shepherd, which covers a multitude of your own nuances and mistakes and even sins. But as we kind of wrap that, know that, as Paul said, that he who began a good work in you, as even the leader, will complete it until the day of Christ Jesus. And it's that end that we hope and pray for you and ask for God to use this in your life in ways that not only change them, but also deep in your own heart, that your life would be different at the end of the day and at the end of your time together. Thank you, and God bless you guys.
God bless you.